I had always been fascinated by the galaxy's unknown worlds, but nothing prepared me for the moment I stepped onto Velora Prime, a planet famed for its towering crystalline cities and warrior cultures. I had come as a human observer, sent by the Interstellar Council to document alien societies, yet I soon realized I wasn't just a spectator. I was about to become a part of one of their most peculiar stories. The first thing that caught my eye was the Veloran training grounds. Towering above me were sleek, silver-armored warriors, each moving with grace and precision. Among them, a young alien girl, perhaps no older than 20 in human terms, watched one warrior more intently than the rest. Her large, iridescent eyes glimmered with a mix of awe and something else I couldn't immediately place. "You see her?" My translator implant whispered in my ear. "She is Lasara, daughter of Commander the Lion. And that warrior," it paused dramatically, "is Kale, the pride of the regiment." I squinted at Kale, noticing the elegant curvature of his armor, the way it hugged his lithe form while leaving certain areas intentionally open, highlighting both strength and agility. My lips curled into a mischievous grin. I've got to say, I murmured to myself, or perhaps to Lasara as well. My implant sometimes transmitted thoughts in low tones. That armor is incredibly sexy. I expected nothing. I expected maybe a raised eyebrow from Lasara or a quick flicker of annoyance. Instead, her reaction was instantaneous. Her eyes widened, her cheeks flushed a deep shade of violet, and for a split second, she seemed frozen. Her gaze darted between me and Kale, and then, as if realizing she'd been caught off guard, she stomped toward the training ring, clearly trying to regain composure. Did I say that out loud?" I whispered, feeling my own cheeks heat up. Humans weren't known for subtlety, and apparently neither was I in interspecies banter. The next few hours were a whirlwind. Lasara approached me under the guise of observing human reactions, but her glances were anything but casual. Every time I dared another teasing comment, sometimes about Kale's perfectly polished gauntlets, sometimes about the sculpted shoulder plates, I caught the faintest twitch in her lips, the tiniest glimmer of an emotion she tried desperately to hide. Eventually, Kale noticed our interactions and approached with his usual calm demeanor. "You speak freely," he said, tilting his head, his voice like a low hum through my translator. "Even about matters most Velorans dare not discuss." I stammered. "I guess I like to keep things honest. Plus, someone had to point out that his armor is visually striking." Lasara's ears, elongated and elegantly tipped, twitched at my words. Her face, usually composed, betrayed a storm of emotions, embarrassment, curiosity, and something warmer I couldn't identify. "You humans art unusual," Lasara finally muttered, her voice a mixture of amusement and disbelief. "You speak without caution, yet somehow your words leave us unsettled." I chuckled. Unsettled? I was aiming for entertained. Her eyes narrowed slightly, and I realized then that the teasing wasn't just a matter of humor. It had broken through the rigid training of a warrior society, shaken her composure, and in some strange, unspoken way, intrigued her. As the day progressed, Kale led me to the ceremonial grounds to observe an exercise. Lasara followed, her movements tense yet graceful, as though she was simultaneously trying to maintain distance and remain near. I noticed that whenever I made a small joke, maybe a comment about Kale's gleaming boots or the impracticality of his ornamental pauldrons, she would instinctively glance at me, her expression betraying the tiniest smile before vanishing behind a mask of seriousness. By late afternoon, we were alone near the crystalline cliffs overlooking the city. Lasara approached, her posture hesitant yet deliberate. Human, she began, her tone almost accusing. Why do you speak so freely? Do you not fear disrespecting us? I grinned, deciding honesty was best. Because sometimes the truth is funnier than silence. And if I'm honest, I like seeing you react. Her entire body stiffened, as if I had struck a chord somewhere deep within her. Then, much to my surprise, she laughed, a clear, melodic sound that echoed off the cliffs. You delight in chaos, do you not? She asked, half laughing, half scolding. I delight in honesty, I corrected, and in witnessing the unexpected. Lasara's gaze softened, and for a moment, the tension between us melted. I had begun to see her not just as a warrior or a princess in training, but as a being with emotions complex and vivid. Her reaction to my teasing was no longer mere surprise. It was curiosity and maybe something deeper. Suddenly, Kale appeared behind us, his armor gleaming in the late afternoon light. You have unsettled her, he said, not as a complaint, but as a statement of fact. She's reacting, I said, shrugging. Maybe that's a good thing. Kale's eyes studied me for a long moment, then he nodded. Perhaps it is. Perhaps a human's unpredictability is valuable. Lasara, apparently encouraged by our exchange, stepped closer. Your words, they are strange. Yet they stir something within me I have not felt before. I blinked, caught off guard. Stir something? Yes, she said, her voice barely a whisper. You challenge decorum, yet make it enjoyable. I do not know how to resist observing you. The next days were filled with a strange camaraderie. We trained, observed, and laughed together. My teasing comments continued, always careful not to cross boundaries, yet always nudging at the edges of Veloran propriety. Each time, Lasara's reaction grew more expressive, an eye roll here, a playful shove there, or a stifled giggle when I made an especially bold remark. Then came the incident that sealed the memory in both our minds. During a ceremonial demonstration of combat techniques, Kale's armor caught the sunlight at the perfect angle, dazzling everyone in the audience. Instinctively, I whispered a teasing remark about how practically every Veloran warrior looks good in polished metal, loud enough for Lasara to hear. The effect was immediate. Her concentration faltered, and she stumbled slightly in front of the assembly. I rushed forward, steadying her, and she looked up at me with wide, astonished eyes. You, she began, her voice trembling slightly. You make me feel? I smiled, letting her words hang in the air. I didn't need her to finish. The message was clear. She had been unprepared for my influence, my presence, my teasing. Her reaction wasn't just embarrassment. It was admiration, trust, and a flicker of affection she hadn't anticipated. From that moment, our interactions changed. We still trained, laughed, and teased, but there was a subtle acknowledgement in her eyes, a silent communication that bridged the gap between human and Veloran. I realized then that the armor, the teasing, the playful jabs, it had all been a catalyst for something far more profound. Weeks later, as I prepared to depart Velora Prime, Lasara approached me one last time. She was no longer flustered, but calm, regal, and yet approachable. You humans are strange, she said, offering a small, enigmatic smile. You speak, you tease, and yet, somehow, you leave impressions that linger far longer than your presence. I chuckled, feeling the weight of our shared moments. I think that's just part of being human. Her gaze softened, her hand brushing briefly against mine. Perhaps, then, you are not so strange after all. I stepped onto my transport, watching the crystalline city shimmer beneath the twin suns. I realized that in a galaxy of alien wonders, the most extraordinary thing wasn't the armor, the battles, or even the stars. It was the connection forged through a few well-chosen words, a playful tease, and a reaction that neither of us would ever forget. And as the ship lifted off, Lasara's eyes met mine one final time. She didn't need to say anything. Her look said it all. The human had teased, and in doing so, had captured the curiosity and perhaps the heart of an alien warrior.